Welcome back to our international viewers, and thank you for joining us for our daily English edition. Hundreds of hectares of land in Lushnia and Rogozhina have been flooded by the overflowing of the Shkumbini River, as well as dozens of homes. The water has reached a level of 1 meter in some houses, and residents have been evacuated. The situation is more critical in Lushnia, where 100 houses are reported to be underwater. However, things are only going to get worse if the intervention is not made in the embankment of the Shkumbini River, which is in bad condition. 5 houses are flooded in Has, and the river Mat in Milot is putting the national road at risk. In Fier, the Janitsa River has overflowed. Fortunately, there was no serious damage, but the municipality has appealed for all businesses and homes near the river to be closed until March 31st. In Dibur, 4 villages are now isolated because their bridges have collapsed. Many of the homes in Shiyak have been flooded in the intense rainfall of the past few days. A great deal of the furniture and belongings of the citizens have been destroyed by the river, overflowing into the houses. The emergency staff has not published an official figure, but it is reported that at least 700 homes are flooded. Excuse me. The citizens have faced this situation before, but this year it is worse than ever. Most of the residents were evacuated during the night by the military, but there are some who are isolated because of difficult terrain. They indicate that the damage is considerable. Perhaps the greatest difficulty will be returning to their homes when the time comes to begin rebuilding their lives from scratch. Although the rains have become less intense, the flooding situation is still concerning in the areas around the Tirana River. Dozens of houses are now uninhabitable because of the damage caused by the river overflowing. Some of the residents have now returned to their homes to see what goods and property they can salvage. 25 Roma families have been evacuated by the prefecture and have been sheltered inside a school building. But the situation is the most serious for the Roma families that live in Babru and Paskuchan. The river has destroyed their shacks, but even so, not all of them have left their shelters behind. A number of humanitarian organizations have been providing food for the families, and at the order of Tirana's prefect Sadi Vorpsi, the civil emergency staff has evacuated around 60 people from the Roma community. Lushnia and Shiyak are both in difficulty because of the heavy rain and flooding. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, about 3,000 hectares of land are flooded in Shiyak, and the Shkumbini River is recording the highest levels in the country. Currently, the ministry is monitoring the work to maintain the dams and riverbanks, but if the rain continues, the situation will certainly escalate. Thankfully, the situation in Leja is stabilizing and moving toward normalcy. Just returning from a visit to the U.S., Prime Minister Rama has inspected the flooded areas in Sukh and Shiyak. He has announced that the institutions are hard at work helping the citizens and made the statement that this situation has been caused by all the unplanned construction in the recent years. During the meeting with the people of Sukh, Rama promised $25 million for cleaning the secondary drainage channels. In Shiyak, he promised compensation for the damage. "We have compensated the citizens for the damage of last year's floods," he said. "We have repaid €7 million that was left by the previous government, and we have paid for the damage caused by the floods in Shkodër. We will honor our obligations until the end," said Rama. Preceding the Prime Minister by a few minutes, the Democratic Chairman Luzim Basha also traveled to Sukh. He met with the people whose homes have been flooded. Basha announced that the water in this area has risen to 1.5 meters, and that 12,000 families have been flooded out of their homes. According to his information, the situation has been aggravated by the high level of the river Erzen. He visited the families in Lushnia as well, making the following statement: "Over 150 families have been flooded in the recent 3 hours. There is a great deal of water here, and no measures are being taken to repair the embankment, said Mr. Basha. Aura News has managed to obtain the amendments that have been reviewed by the Commission for Justice Reform. The Commission has reviewed these amendments after the opinions issued by the Venice Commission. In a document of 18 pages, the draft has been reviewed in full, following the suggestion of the Venice Commission not to treat Albania like an EU country. The revised draft states that the Republic of Albania will take part in the European Union and that after its accession, it will transfer some state powers according to a law provided by 3/5 of the members of the Assembly. Although Venice did not consider terminating the Prosecutor General as a necessity, the Commission stands by the variation that the prosecutor will stay in office until the appointment of a new one, which should happen within 2 months according to the Constitution of the High Council of the Prosecution. The Commission has reflected on the opinion of Venice to find a mechanism to unblock the process in the event that 3/5 of the vote cannot be attained. The Commission says, the Attorney General is appointed by 3/5 of the members of the Assembly from among 3 candidates proposed by the Supreme Council of the Prosecution. The Council selects the 3 most qualified candidates using a transparent and public procedure that is based on merit. If the Assembly does not appoint the Attorney General within 30 days from the submission of proposals, the top candidate chosen by the Supreme Council of the Prosecution will be appointed. The procedure of selecting and appointing the Attorney General is established by law. Also, the Commission has proposed that the prosecutor be appointed for a period of 7 years, with a limit of a single term. The Venice Commission also raised concerns about the presence of the Minister of Justice in several judicial institutions. The Commission has proposed that the minister should not be part of the High Judicial Council, the Supreme Inspectorate of Justice, or the Council of Appointments to the Justice System. The Commission has reviewed the articles on the powers of the Constitutional Court and the election of its members. There should be 3 from the ranks of the judiciary, 3 selected by the President, and 3 chosen by the Assembly. They will have a 9-year term, and the chairman will have a mandate of 3 years. The Commission has not withdrawn from an article that says that the Constitutional Court may not declare a law unconstitutional if the law has to do with reviewing the Constitution and has been approved by the Assembly. Regarding the appointment of the members of the Supreme Court, Venice suggests a quantifiable limit to how many times the President can refuse the proposals of the Supreme Judicial Council. Reviewed by the Commission on December 29th, the project is currently on the tables of the experts of the parliamentary groups and the institutions of the justice system. The chairman of the ad hoc commission, Fatmir Jafai, says that the experts hope to draft a consensual document to present to the Venice Commission, whose experts will be visiting Albania soon. The director of the Kosovo office in the Serbian government, Marko Đurić, said today that the internationals have accepted and supported the creation of the Association of Serb Municipalities. During an interview, he noted that this might be considered as a diplomatic success, adding that the purpose of this agreement is to establish political stability between the 2 countries. According to him, if the pact reached in Brussels is implemented, Kosovo and Serbia will attain good relations and will increase their mutual trust. He also said that Belgrade is making a huge effort to help the Serbs who are living in Kosovo. The agreement has received the green light from the Constitutional Court, despite the fact that some of its points were not in full accordance with the Constitution. Kosovo's government has indicated that it will soon start work on establishing the statute of the associations. That's the end of our edition for this evening. Thanks again for watching, and please join us again at 6 p.m. tomorrow for more news in English. Thanks. Have a great night.